Hey Ninja here. I'm just going to do a real quick video of my experience as a mature-aged Army recruit. Now, I'm going to, at the very start, I want to say that I'm not going to be shitting on the Army in any way, and if I do say things that come across like that, that's not my intention. So, my experience in the Army is probably less common than most people. My wife is also ex-Army and she served majority of her time and ended up discharged, PTSD and depression. And I won't say where she was or what she was doing, but my job now is basically looking after her all the time. So I'm not currently painting at the moment. And it's more to do with her situation than mine. She's quite, she can't drive anymore. I'm not going to talk about a sob story. I've got, everything's okay at home, things are good here. But I just wanted to give guys and people who are looking at the military, I'll just change this angle a bit, looking at the military, maybe an honest as I can be, review of what your experience might be like, particularly if you're married outside the military, and I stress that, if you're married to someone that's not in the military. Or if you have kids, or particularly if you have kids with disabilities. And I have seen this, okay, and this can be a marriage ender, this can be a really bad situation for you. Mostly Army, okay, Navy and Air Force, I'm going to say why I believe if you're mature age you should choose Navy or Air Force, has nothing to do with fitness or capability, anything like that. So my situation was, as you all know, I had a pretty good painting business. Pretty good YouTube channel. My channel is one of the #1 Ryobi channels in the world, which I just do Ryobi videos. I get lots of views. I don't mind the gear. GFC hit and I ended up doing fly in, fly out work and whatever I could to just keep my houses and everything I had. I got a few rental properties and stuff like that. We've done all right over the years. We've made pretty good decisions after making a lot of bad decisions. Army may have been one of them. We'll discuss that anyway. And then I took a job as a painter for a company, wasn't a great job. It was like $800-900 a week, right? But the difference between working for someone and working for myself, for like me personally, the stress levels were just not there. There's just no stress working for someone else, not after you've run your own business for as long as I have, chasing money and all that. And I was only at this painting company for 3 weeks and they wanted to make me foreman and give me a van, okay? And that process is normally a couple of years, and I was there a couple of weeks, and they're like, look, what do you want to do? And I said, look, I wouldn't mind being a foreman. They asked me would I like to be a foreman, and I sort of thought, oh, well, that's, yeah, I can start there. And I said, well, what can I do beyond foreman? Foreman doesn't really interest me too much. I've already done that. And in the end, the guy said that he was going up to state manager. He said, well, you get at my job at some point. And he said, anyway, long story short, we worked out that a job for my home life and my well-being and whatever, my wife's as well, was better suited to us. That was what led to the first decision of taking a job for a period of time. And then my wife, I was very interested in the military anyway. More so the Air Force, I always wanted to be a fighter pilot. We'll come back to that because that's something that I actually could have done, I found out later on. And obviously age was not going to happen at this point in my life, but I could have done it when I was 18 and 19, I found out. As you will too, if you go through the process. So anyway, I narrowed down the forces, and I decided Air Force. I got a job as an avionics technician. Now that's someone who repairs aircraft, so at an electronics level, and it's moving more to a component replacement level, not an electronics level. You still do all the theory and stuff, but 10 years ago you were actually replacing ICs, integrated circuits and stuff like that. Now you're ordering a component from China or wherever it comes from and simply replacing boards. So the job is becoming less and less specialised. You'll still learn all the theory and stuff, but what I'm saying is those jobs, they're not what they were 10 years ago. Anyway, that was the job. I was accepted. Yep, no worries, you're in. Passed the aptitude test, fitness test, everything. Right up at the very end, and I was happy with that. My wife says to me, oh, again, I'm not shitting on the forces, but this is what my wife said to me because she's ex-Army, her dad's ex-Army, a lot of my family Army. She said, look, I don't want you joining the Air Force because it's fucking gay, right? Now, I'm not going to, warning, I'm going to swear a lot on this. I'm probably going to yell and scream. I don't know what my reaction could be when I start talking about some of this stuff. But probably MA video maybe for your kids. So anyway, she said that was gay. And I said, well, fucking who cares? I don't care. We'll join the army. Okay, I'll join the army. I can do that. And I was in, being trade, fitness-wise, well, for myself, I can't speak for everyone, but fitness-wise, as a tradie, if you're on residential construction, not civil construction, those guys are lazy buggers, but residential constructions, you're generally pretty fit. And when I say pretty fit, you could probably run 5Ks without any training, as long as you're working every day, because you might not go for the gym an hour a day, but you'll do 6 hours of hard slog all day long. Some days you might do 8 hours. You might not stop for lunch. I got that way. I wasn't stopping for tea breaks, and I'd just have food and I'd get back to work. And I'd be in the car eating, taking phone calls. My lunch was not lunch. It was more like 5 minutes maybe sitting in a drive-through half the time. So you have a very good, very high level of base fitness when you're a tradie in residential construction. Okay, that's another thing. Long story short, I joined the army and went through the whole interview and everything. Had to tell the Air Force, look, sorry, we've decided Army's going to be better for us. I personally preferred the Army over the Air Force, without knowing anything. That was what I actually wanted to do. I wanted to be a combat engineer, but again, wife didn't like that either. She didn't want me finding landmines and stuff and being the first deployed and everything, which I didn't mind. I didn't care. I was working at Manus Island. You might have seen those videos. As a painter before this, and it was a 4-in-1 fly in, fly out, and there was cannibals there. There's fucking guys shooting people, guys running people over, people getting raped. It was the stuff I've seen and heard about at Manus Island. Which I can't tell you a lot of it, but honestly, after doing that with no rifle and having a fucking Leatherman, which I've got a Leatherman, which was only nice, but that was basically my defence at Manus Island, and I was fucking ready to use it, I'll tell you right now. Anyway, that's another video which we can do as well. So, joined the army and went through basic. Now, my wife has these conditions, but because I'd done the fly in, fly out work and she was happy with what I was going to do, we decided we'd give it a crack. Now, I didn't know it was going to work out. I actually figured that it probably wouldn't, but I thought it would happen probably halfway through a deployment, or maybe I'd get a leg blown off or something like that, or get killed. But I was fine with all those things. I was totally fine with it. The dog just walking around here. So I joined the army, went through basic. Now, fitness up until, I was 35 when I joined. I'm 38 now. Fitness joining, I was nearly 100 kilos, and I had a bit of fat on me at that time. And I did my first 2.4k run. I thought it was 2.4k's. You got to do these in certain time frames. 2.4k run, sit-ups and push-ups. They're your fitness things when you're in. It's a beat test before you get in. And I run, I think, 17.5 minutes for a 2.4, and I couldn't do it in one go. I think my first time I run it, and if you're ex-army, you laugh at that. But in the space of about 8 to 10 weeks, I dropped that 17 minutes down to probably just under 12, okay? It might have been, no, sorry, it was 11:30, I think I got it down to myself. I dropped about 12 kilos, so I was under 90, I might have been like 87 or something. And then once I joined, I dropped from 87 down to about 74. So I was pretty lean and ripped and fit at 87. So if you go from, I'll put it right here, I'll cut it. I'll just go like this so I know to cut the video there. I'll put a picture of me before and after basic of what my body looked like, and you'll just go, holy shit, you really do work in the army at basic anyway. Afterwards is a different thing. But anyway, I got through basic with the, fitness-wise, at the beginning I was up there with the best. And I mean best 18-year-olds. I don't mean best like my age. I mean the best 18-year-olds in the beginning. And then what happens is, because they're 18, I'm 35, 36 at that time, their fitness will overtake you just naturally without them having to do much at all. Even the very average 18-year-olds overtook me at the end because they have a, massive advantage there fitness-wise, and endurance, agility, all these little things that when you get a bit older, you start to notice them. Academically, the older guys got a bit of an edge with probably aptitude and IQ and EQ, more EQ, the older guys, and that's, you know. Now I tested pretty high. I qualified for pilot entry when I did the aptitude test, as did the people in my wing where I was working. They all, probably half of them would have qualified for that, I'm guessing, but it were pretty smart people at the area I was in. So that was where I was saying I was going to come back to that. If I was 18, 19, I was really focused or whatever, I probably could have gone in as a pilot, but life happens, whatever. Not something really feasible at my age. You know, the younger guys, they got to choose from. And I'm not sure if I could have done it anyway. I can pass the aptitude test, but whether I can do the actual job, that's a whole different thing. Where I was, sorry, phone going off. Where I was, though, I was comfortable. I could do the job, and I could do the job. I was doing the job. There's no issues there. What happened to me, though, maybe you know this already before I even say it. My wife had a pretty bad psychotic break about halfway through Kapooka, and I nearly didn't pass basic training because saying I nearly didn't pass, I just started making a lot of stupid mistakes halfway through basic. Now, if you've been through basic training, you will know that you're doing maybe 16, 18-hour days, sun up till sometimes nearly midnight because you're getting up out of bed because you're in trouble with shit. It's academically and physically tiring from day one to day, whatever, 13 weeks, how many days is that? It's fucking, I did the full basic course. A lot of people, sometimes they shorten it, sometimes they make it 8 weeks, sometimes they make it 12 weeks. I think mine was 13, so you start at week 0. That's just only in a nutshell right there. You start at week 0. And if you're shit, you can stay at week 0. I knew a guy who was there at week, I don't know what week he was in, but he was in basic for 6 months. Now, you do not want to be at Kapooka for 6 months. I'll tell you right now, you probably hang yourself. That's how bad it could get. Again, I'm not shitting on the army. I'm just trying to give you a realistic what to expect, more so as a mature age person going in. And what I've said some of the bad things. I'm also going to say some of the good things as well, which I'm only really noticing now, about a year out. Anyway, the wife had a reasonably major psychotic break. Now, these happen regardless of what I do. Sometimes they can happen because we might have an argument or something. She might have it just stresses her out. She can't handle stress very well. Other times it happens for no reason at all. So we never really know, sometimes till afterwards, what caused it. And it could be some little trivial tiny thing, or it could be some really big thing. Now, we still don't know whether this was that, or whether it was just nothing, or whether it was a mix of the two. Anyway, about halfway through Kapooka, I started failing, just not remembering things and just making stupid mistakes. Like I was nailing everything up until about week 6 or 7, which I was surprised. I was actually turning into the full Reggie Army person. I won't say the word I was going to use, but I really soaked it up at 35. I just lapped it up till about week 6, and then my wife started we got one phone call, which changed everything for me because I knew there was some bad shit happening, and I couldn't figure out. We had 3 minutes on the phone, and what that means is about 2 minutes 30 on the phone. That includes turning your phone on, booting it up, making the call. If it gets disconnected, you got about 2 minutes 30 to say what you got to say, and weeks could have passed up until this time. So I had a lot of stuff to say. She had a lot of stuff to say. She's trying not to stuff up my training. I'm trying not to make her sick. There's a lot of things going on. Towards the end of the call, I figured out that she was having a big problem, and I didn't quite know what it was. I asked to get my phone again and make a quick 2-minute phone call just to, talk her down and see if she was all right. And the guy, it's no fault of his own, he's doing his fucking job. So I'm not resentful to any of these people I talk about. I won't say their name because I don't want to shit on them personally or professionally. His response to me, and this is the army for you, okay? Now I had a quite major medical problem going on with my wife, and it could have been, was life-threatening. And his response to me was, "Look, I'm going to the gym, but I'll see if I can get around to it tomorrow." Okay, now that probably seems pretty harsh to someone who's not army, but to me that's kind of just every day of the week. Anyway, I had a lot of problems academically after that. I still scraped through, still passed everything. The physical was no problem because the physical was, you don't have to think too much for the physical stuff. But the academic stuff, like when you study navigation, radios, Firearms, there's a lot of academic stuff. You've got to remember a lot of large sets of instructions and be able to recite them word for word in the correct order, in the correct sequence, with the correct timing. So now anyone who's Army knows I'm actually Army because I said that. Yeah, so that sort of stuff I struggle with, and I never got that back. I was kind of one way, and then something happened in my personal life, and then I changed to retarded soldier. So my caution, that what I'd like to say to anyone considering doing the Army at the mid-30s, even late 20s, if you're married to someone outside the Army, if you have children, particularly if your children or your significant other has any kind of disability or something that might give you some kind of weird personal problem during basic, more basic than Army, but still you'll see regular Army as well. I would, if you're one of those people, one of those types of people, married, kids with disabilities, wife with disabilities, Navy or Air Force, all day. Just do that. Don't listen to what people say about Navy and Air Force. Just do it, because it's essentially, Army guys don't like it. It's kind of the same. You're just less regime. They're more human. You're gonna get leave when you need it for something like that, generally speaking, unless you're deployed. This is more leave when you're literally not doing anything, sitting around all day, and you just ask for leave and they just say no, because that's just Army. They say no. For no reason at all. So don't believe the flyers that say, oh, I was in the Malaysian jungle and I got flown home within 24 hours because my wife was... That doesn't happen, okay? There may be one fucking guy in the whole Army that happens to. Okay, you're not that guy. I'm not that guy. Okay, so that's my reason for saying go Navy or Air Force. Now, the difference between the Navy and the Army is not huge. The Navy is still a very regimented place. So if you're going in for that, well, you're going to get it anyway. You're going to get it in the Air Force as well, but they're far less strict. They're basically, they get weekends off. You get told you're going to get a married quarter as soon as you get out of basic. Air Force weekends off. They get phones a lot of the time through the week from the start. Maybe your first week or two you don't, but after that you do. They're human beings. They're generally smarter. So if you're smart in the Army, more so, you're probably IQ more than EQ. Air Force want EQ and IQ to get in the Air Force, and they want experience as well. So you're getting a better overall standard of people, and those people get promoted into positions where they're granting leave and whatever, and they're following Air Force policy. You'll come out, I believe you'll have less chance of injury. You'll have more so less chance of psychological injury. You'll enjoy work more so, unless you were posted where I was, which was a fucking hellhole. I mean, I've met Air Force guys at PhD and they're pretty screwed up. They're still nice guys, you know, they're not wankers about it. Army guys, I won't say anything about that. Yeah, so just Navy or Air Force, you'll still get all the stuff in the Navy, like regimented wise, all that sort of stuff, remembering things that you would get in the Army, but they're just a little bit more considerate. Easier on PT, except for swimming. Be a good swimmer in the Navy. Oh, it's one thing I didn't train for at all in the Army, and I nearly drowned after my first 4 or 5 laps in the pool. So I would just, as a mature age guy, just ignore the fucking Army people that tell you if they're Reggie, and as a civilian you might not be able to see if they're Reggie or not. Maybe you will. They're super confident, they're 100% certain on everything, whatever. They're probably an Army Reggie person, and they're going to tell you the same thing that every other Army person is going to tell you, right or wrong, whether it's right or wrong. And that's the first thing you should have picked up at Kapooka, is when they say, we never lie to you. And then, well, you just fucking lied to me, dickhead. Like, I'm not an idiot, you know. And they're pretty good. Like, a civvy might make a mistake. Realistically, unknown situation, a civilian will make a mistake 20 to 30, 40%, they'll get it right all the time, right? Army, they get it right 80, 90% of the time. So, and that's probably less as you go to Navy and Air Force. So, I lost my train of thought there. So basically, that's really all I wanted to talk about in this video is use your brain. Well, you're not going to be able to, unless you do it, you won't know, but I'm trying to get that over to these mature age people choose Navy or Air Force if you're thinking about it. And I can pretty much say the same for the US Army, US Marines, particularly US Marines, in any country, any Western country. So prepare to be physically and mentally exhausted for 13. Well, probably of the 13 weeks, it's probably more like 10 weeks, because if you can get to that point, you're going to pass. Now, to give you an idea of how many drop out, I think we started with 45 and we ended up with maybe 30. And people were dropping out in the 3rd week, 4th week, whatever. They just couldn't hack it. And to give you an idea of how tough it is, and I consider myself physical and mental toughness, I'd say I'm probably an 8 out of 10. And I'm trying to be as honest about that as I can be. I'm pretty hard about certain things, and I'm not shy of a physical confrontation. It's happened a lot of times in my life. I will get physical if I need to. And at one point there in basic, it was just after I had the call with my wife, I failed to shoot. It was the first thing I failed about week 6, and I got broken down to tears in front of about 100 people. I was tears that run down my cheeks, and that was my lowest point, I think, in my entire life. And I'm 35. I've seen and done a lot of things that these young guys haven't done, and they're looking at me like, fucking hell, this guy, like, it's ruining this guy. And but that's the difference between a soldier and someone who's not a soldier, is you will have a fucking teary, and then 2 minutes later you'll wipe yourself down, you get up, you'll just keep fucking going, and you'll forget all about it. Now, if I'd have been in a civilian situation, I might have walked away and just not even come back. And that's what most people do. Most young people do. They have their theory, because I think most people do. Don't fucking lie to me and say you don't, because a lot of people do, and they don't find out about it. Apparently, it's pretty normal. That's the point they need to get every soldier to, and that part of it is individually tailored to you. So they are trying to break you, and if they haven't broken you yet, they're going to try even harder to break you. So be prepared for that situation, but if you're pretty strong, and, I'd say if you're a 7 out of 10 mental, physical toughness, you can do the army, like, regardless, but you've got to be a 7 out of 10. Don't go in as a fucking 4 or 5 or a gay bloke. I knew one gay guy who went in, and he has a lot of problems. He did it, he's still doing it, but he probably should have, and he probably agreed with me, he probably should have joined Air Force or Navy. I reckon it would have been better for him. Maybe he really likes it. I don't know. I don't really know. My initial reaction would be, or what I think, in hindsight, is if you're gay, choose Air Force and Navy, not Army. Okay, I could say some things here that I would like to say, but I still have to censor myself, because I don't want to. Again, I'm not trying to shit on the organisation. That is the ADF, and particularly the Army. So there's some things I'd like to say, and I'd probably tell you in person, I won't say on the video, but just use that as caution. This is my wife ringing me now. I'll just let that. Hello. I'm just doing a video. Can I call you back? All right. See ya. Okay. Wife's away at the moment. I'm on my own. And anyway, where was I? So anyway, I got out. I got medically retired with a back injury, back and neck. Now, it was just a fuck up. It wasn't like the whole time being 35. I'm like, don't get injured, because you get back squatted. So what that means is if you're in Kapurka, you can't pass a certain gate or a certain section, you get back squatted to 2 weeks prior. So say you're in week 4. You could potentially go to week 1 or 0 if you fuck up something, don't pass something. So the entire time I was trying to not get back squatted, and you're encouraged in Kapurka to, if you do get injured, to not mention it, just push through, because realistically I know now there's no doctors there to help you anyway. They're not going to want to help you. They want you to do a 10k run with a half-broken leg. They literally do. I finished Kapurka and my fists, my knuckles looked like I'd got a cheese grater and just gone like that on a cheese grater on both hands. And that's how it's hard. Monkey runs and shit on fucking rocks, like you forget your gloves, which I did a few times. And anyway, you'll have it happen, gloves and no gloves. But, what was I fucking talking about? I lost my train of thought again. as I'm becoming more human as being out a year, so I'm starting to forget things again, which I'm sort of thankful for. One of the things you do in basic, and I don't know if it's got a name, is I call it one way to explain it, like a mega memory, like a photographic memory. And what people in the Army, Navy and Police, probably fireys maybe not, they train to get a photographic memory basically. So if you watch the Jason Bourne movies and he walks down the street and he remembers every number plate, the description of every person, the order in which the cars are parked, like that's the kind of thing Army is training into you. Now you have to do it to understand what I'm saying. That civilians will never ever get this. No matter uni, no matter anything, will do this. Army, for all its imperfections, this is what they know how to do. So to give you an idea of how that works is we go in very early and we stand in a line and we play Chinese whispers. Now, we're still civilians at this point. We're in uniform, but we're still civilians. And there might be 20 guys lining up and everyone's played Chinese whispers. One person at the start gets whispered a story. At the end, it comes out fucking Purple Monkey Dishwasher, right? So now about 8 or 9 weeks in, we did Chinese whispers again, and it was a fairly long paragraph. It might have been like 2 paragraphs, and there was probably 3 words wrong at the end from the start to the finish. And there might have been 20, 25 guys in that whole group of people. So we remember word for word exactly what is said to us in the right sequence, words, everything, in that amount of people. And that's right across the Defence Force, more so Army than Navy Air Force, but they all do this. And that was one thing that really surprised me, is how they're able to do that. A very simple system, repetition of lots of what seem silly tasks, but they do it over and over again, and they do it for weeks at a time. And eventually, because you don't want to fuck up because you get punished, and the whole platoon gets punished because of you if you fuck up. So the challenge all the time is not to be the guy that fucks up, which in the end I was fucking up all the time, but I still got through there. Yeah, so that's one big thing they try to train into you. So this video is probably all over the place. I haven't edited this at all. So another benefit of coming out of the Army is you'll see, I haven't done many videos since, is you'll see a change in myself, probably from my older videos to now. That's the sort of change you'll get in yourself when you join the Defence Forces, is if you're introverted, you'll come out extroverted. I'm a very introverted sort of person, pretty quiet, antisocial at times. And I come out of the Army and I'd say to most people now I'm extroverted massively. And I'll stand there and stuff like maintaining eye contact, that sort of stuff is, public speaking doesn't even faze me anymore. It's just sort of, you just do it, And it's going to be good for my YouTube channel because people are going to see, well, if they've been a subscriber for a long time, they'll see the before and the after. And if you're going to do a YouTube channel or run a business or whatever, if you come out of the military, if you're able to recover within a year or two, all those changes will become a lot. You'll get out and you'll be totally incompatible with society altogether. But then a year or two later, if you can settle down and you'll end up being a mix of the two, but you'll keep the good bits of the military with you, which is the public speaking, the confidence, all that sort of standing up straight, walking tall everywhere. You will feel 100% better about yourself, or self-confidence, everything. You'll be assertive. If someone gets up in your face, you'll be right up in their face like immediately. And I'm talking guy, like I'm 6 foot tall. I'm talking a big guy that's 6'5", who I said something about his parking to him, and he got up in my face. He was going to knock me out. I just unleashed on him, and I'm a pretty aggressive person. I'm an Aries. As I said, I'm an 8 out of 10 aggression. After I come out of the Army, I'm probably I am a 10 out of 10, and I scare people. I really do. And that's the other thing is I remain calm now, whereas before I'd get fired up and angry. Like before, if it was going to be an altercation or whatever, I'd get fired up and angry half an hour, 20 minutes before. Now I don't have it happen until milliseconds before the altercation. So I'll sit there completely calm, like looking like nothing, and then I will explode with aggression that that you've never seen. Yeah, forget the movies. That's fucking movies. I'm talking real. Like you see all those videos of veterans taking down people with guns and stuff. That's because, not necessarily because they're service, because they're drill. They practice drill and that sort of stuff. They are training for controlled aggression. And that's, I can't explain that to someone who's not Army until you do it, or Navy. Is this controlled aggression is extremely powerful. And that's why you see them able to do things to people and take people down in seconds, you know, rather than minutes. And there's no struggle. It's just bang, 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 it's done. And I don't think Army people necessarily need any hand-to-hand combat training to do that. They just do what is necessary. So that's a benefit you'll get as well. And that is helpful, being that aggressive and being able to hold it until you need to use it, until you actually need to use it. And, you know, have a reaction time that's milliseconds, not seconds or minutes, it's milliseconds. Yeah, and you'll have that the minute you leave basic. And if you go on to, say, infantry, you're doing sort of like another enhanced basic, you'll get it even better. So the infantry guys are going to have it better again. SASCATs, Special Forces, they'll have it better again. Yeah, so that's an interesting thing that I got out of it as well. I'm probably rambling here a bit. I might just cut the video here. So long story short, all the haters, if you want to say, look, you shouldn't have fucking joined the Army, blah, 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 blah. I don't give a crap what you think. I really don't. That's another benefit you get out of the Army, is you just don't fucking care anymore what people think. You don't care what people think about you. You really don't give a fuck, you know. And that is a powerful thing, when you can sit there and say, I don't give a fuck about you. Like, I can put this video, it could get 1 million dislikes and people fucking turn up at my gate saying you're a wanker. I would not care. I wouldn't care. Like, I really would. Like, I just get up tomorrow like it didn't even happen and do another video just because. You know, and when before, all these YouTube videos with the haters, that was a problem. And I would take it to heart for a long time. You read in my comments, even now, I'll do it now but differently. I'll just say, you're a fucking moron, fuck off, go watch some other, go do your own channel, whatever. Before I used to care about it. Now I fucking don't. I don't care at all. So that's a great thing that you'll get out of the Army, any of these forces. But I'll cut the video here. I'll probably rambled a bit. This has been entirely unscripted. So I started writing down notes. So what I was saying about public speaking, now I wrote down Air Force and Navy over Army, mature aged. That was my notes. So I intended to write, this video is now 32 minutes long, so I can talk shit for fucking ever. It doesn't bother me, you know, public speaking. And it is the same as public speaking, YouTube. People don't think it is, but it is. It's fucking nervous when you first do it and you have no training, no Toastmasters or anything like that. And you're like, this is fucking, I'm putting myself out there, all my friends and that. And that's another metric you can use, is I put my videos on Facebook now, which is really retarded, because I would do all these videos, like thousands, hundreds of, millions of views now I've got. And I do all these videos, and I didn't put them on my own Facebook account. And I wouldn't share them to Facebook. I wouldn't tell people I did YouTube, because I was self-conscious of what I was doing. Now I don't give a fuck. So you'll see that in the future videos I do. Anyway, I'm really going to cut it now, because I've fucking rambled on way too much. But hope you learned something. Shoot me a message if you're thinking about joining. I can probably save you a whole lot of headaches. And click the like, whichever it is, like and subscribe, and hopefully I'll see you again.